Even if it's not you specifically who can help that person, here's a resource. I can connect you with this organization. I can connect you with this other nurse coach. I can connect you with this other type of provider. So there's always a way to serve and support and to help somebody, even if it's not you. Nurses, nurse coaches, welcome back to the Nurse Coach Collective podcast. Today we are on the Ask Me Anything part 2 of our maybe 3, maybe 4-part series where we have taken all of your questions from the Nurse Coach Collective Facebook group, which you haven't joined yet. Make sure that you go join it. It's free and it's an incredible resource for anyone who's interested in nurse coaching, health and wellness coaching, how to start your own private practice, and so much more. So y'all, thanks for your questions and leading them on to us. So Heather, let's keep it popping off.
All right, we're going to start with a fun one.
All right.
We got a question from Christina who wants to know, Peter, particularly this one was for you, our resident musician. What are 2 songs on your playlist that you like to jam out to before a meeting, before a coaching session, before an office hours with your students that always sets the vibe right?
You mean besides my own tracks?
No, that's what I listen to get
recently
pumped
completed
up.
15-track album that will be released over the course of the next year.
Just get excited. It's really, really true. That's coming. I don't know when he's going to be willing to share it with the world, but it will happen in the very near future. And then it can be all of our pump up music.
As soon as I get over looking as a different version of me on social media, but I digress.
That's one of the names of your songs almost.
Anyways, songs that I love to listen to pump up, man, what do I love? It's mostly like artists. I love audacious. They're just like great pump up EDM music. Anything related to Calvin Harris. Again, uplifting, inspiring, great stuff. Those are probably 2 of my favorite, like listen to and pump up artists, audacious and Calvin Harris. How about you, Heather?
I wasn't expecting you to throw it back at me. My artist is Anything One Republic. You know, I can sing along.
Oh, One Republic. Yeah, that's our shared love.
I can sing along just about every word of every song. Not as many as you can, but that always gets me going. And what's classic that we listen to on some of our calls and we get dancing? Shout, put my hands up and shout.
Put my hands up and shout. That's right.
I got some love for that song in my heart because I have danced with hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of nurse coach students to that very song.
Yes. Hey, and who just worked with one of One Republic's producers? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. This didn't come up in the Ask Me Anything, but we're talking about it.
No, this episode is not sponsored by One Republic. You know.
Next up, what's one thing you said to a client that you instantly regretted, and what did you learn from it?
There's probably a lot of things that I have said to clients that I have maybe not regretted, but like at least sat there and been like, ooh, how's this gonna land? The biggest one that comes up for me, true regret, was after having a like 1.5, maybe 2-hour session with someone and getting to the end. This was early on in my nurse coaching practice, and getting to the end and saying that I did not think I could help them. And they asked me point blank, does it sound like we're going to be a good fit? I don't remember if I said no or if I said I'm not sure, but what I did not say was yes. And honestly, I can't remember exactly what that client brought, but at the time in my nurse coaching career, I was too new and I was too fresh, and I frankly felt overwhelmed by all that this person brought to the table. Now I would approach that client as feeling like, heck yes, bring it on, let's do this. We got so much good work to do. But instead of being able to give that person hope and give that person belief and really believe in myself as a nurse coach, I took away, I think, some of their power because I took away my own power, and I didn't give us that opportunity to have a beautiful relationship together. And I regret that, and I learned from it. And I don't think I've ever had another experience after that where I have not ended one of those, initial get to know you sessions without saying, here's how I can help you, and here's how I will help you if you choose to work together.
Yeah, and even if it's not you specifically who can help that person, here's a resource. Here's how I can connect. I can connect you with this organization. I can connect you with this other nurse coach. I can connect you with this other type of provider. So there's so many ways. There's always a way to serve and support and to help somebody, even if it's not you.
Great point. And that's not to say that you have to want to work with every single person that you talk to. I think one of the beautiful things about being a nurse coach in your own practice is you have that freedom and flexibility to say yes to the people you want to say yes to and no to the people you want to say no to. What made this situation memorable was that it was fear. It was not a true lack of desire. It was simply fear that I wasn't good enough in that moment, fear that that person was going to say no if I did make an offer. And so now I've learned when that fear shows up, it's a compass and a guide, and I look it straight in the eyes and I'm like, all right, let's lean in, let's go. All right, Peter, you're up. What's one thing that you do when you feel stalled out in your business, but maybe also in your life in general?
That means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but I imagine it means in this context is either I'm stuck, either something's not working, I'm procrastinating, I'm putting off what needs to be done, or I'm no longer vibing, no longer feeling excited about what's happening. In those moments, I think it's great to slow down, take a day off, go on a creative artist day, just go be in nature, move my body, go hang out with friends, go do something completely different other than worrying about my business, wondering why this isn't working for me in this moment in time. So, sometimes it requires a little bit of space and doing something just fun, right? Doing something different. There's another part that is creativity, right? So what is required of me? Like, how am I not getting creative inside of my business in this moment in time that's keeping me feeling stalled out, that's keeping me feeling stuck? And so I think what it really, really comes down to is just a radical ownership. I made the choice to be here. I am making the choice to continue to be here. I made the choice to build this business. I'm making the choice to continue to build this business. So what can I do to make it work for me, right? Complaining about it's not going to do anything. Thinking about it's not going to do anything. What I have found to be most effective, in addition to giving myself a little bit of space and a little bit of time, is to begin to, number one, start taking action. But before I start actually taking action, the biggest action is to plan. So take a moment, slow down, analyze, okay, here's where I'm at, but where most importantly do I want to get to? And that gives myself the space and the time to begin to dream. And so go big picture, go bigger dream, bigger vision, maybe go a little bit more exciting, maybe go down a slightly different path without like switching completely, because what you don't want to do is every 2 months just switch. You want to master your craft. So go big picture and then reverse engineer that. What's the tiny action that I can take today, tomorrow, every day this week that's going to start to put me on a different path to get not stalled out?
So it's really a lot of that zooming way out so that you can then zoom in and start taking action.
And you just have to take action. The only way to truly stall out is to stop, right? A stall out just means like, okay, yep, I just turn the car on again and push through. And sometimes it does require that. It requires simply, I know people don't want to hear this, but like you just have to show up and do the work. Nobody's going to come and save you. And that's where that radical ownership comes in. The second the victimhood mentality comes in, like, oh, poor me, like, oh, it's so hard. Things are hard. Like, what else are you going to do? You're going to go work a 12-hour shift, a 16-hour shift. Think about how many people have it so hard every single day, and suffering's relative. And so like there's very little point in complaining. And so if you are at the point where you're like really complaining, procrastinating, take a day off, take a couple days off, go relax, go remember like, what's the point? Enjoy life. Life is so short. It's so amazing. You woke up today. What else do you want? What a beautiful gift. You woke up today. Now zoom out, go get fun, enjoy the big vision, reverse engineer that, start doing work today and take action every single day. And then stalling out doesn't become an option.
And I think because you have had that experience in your life and in your business, and because you're able to talk about it and like intellectually understand your process and then actually be able to move through that process in your actions, that makes you a better nurse coach. So I don't want people thinking, if you're out there and you keep getting to this place where you feel stalled or you feel lack of motivation or you feel stuck, that like, who am I to be a nurse coach? Because you're going to encounter clients who feel exactly that in every single area, right? Like the one who desperately wants to lose weight, but like they just lost all motivation to exercise or to eat better or to put in the work. So having that understanding of what works for you, I know this because I've seen this in action, allows you to then show up more powerfully for and with your clients as they're navigating their moments of stuckness and lack of motivation and needing to find out their own unique process for getting their spark back, right?
I have been the highest highs and the lowest lows inside of all elements of the business. So like wherever you're at, just know that it always gets better. If you're at a moment where you feel completely stalled out and that you're stuck and nothing's ever going to get better and nothing's ever going to break in your favor, if you simply show up with consistency and persistence, it eventually will. And it always does. So I have had that happen so many times, the peaks and the valleys, the ups and the downs, that now like I know what to do when I am in that space of when it's low or when things don't feel like they're going my way, which is, I take a couple days off. I just slow down. I just block out everything. And then I really take care of my body. I eat really well. I move my body. I support myself because that allows me to show up most powerfully inside the biz.
Is there maybe one other thing that really helps you when you're feeling stuck? Like having an awesome partner who's there to support you in those moments of not just the peaks, but the valleys.
Thank you. Thank you for always being so supportive in life and in business, Heather.
That was not me fishing for a thank you, but you are most welcome.
But it's a critical piece of it, which is support. You know, whether you have a business partner, life partner, sometimes if somebody doesn't have a business, they don't understand, right? If they clock in and clock out of work, I truly believe that the greatest way to self-develop yourself is to start a business. There's nothing else like it on the planet. So go find other people, right? Join the Nurse Coach Collective Facebook group. Come on into the alumni space. Like there's so many different avenues for you to surround yourself with people who will support you through those lows and then celebrate you when you're in the highs.
Uniquely, you and I have a little rule in our life and in our relationship, which is that we're not allowed to be in the lows of the lows at the same time. Life will be life, and we will be where we will be, and we will love and accept each other and support each other no matter where we're at. But somehow, the way that we have developed our relationship and our partnership in business, we really have found ways to balance each other. And it's almost like when I see you in that peak moment, sometimes it gives me permission to let out some of my need for a break, my need for like, okay, your foot's on the gas, like, okay, I'm just gonna let myself kind of take a step back, take a rest that I need. And then when I see you kind of coming to one of those moments, whether it's stalled out or the valley as you're calling it, or just, not feeling it in the same way you are, then even if I'm feeling the same way you do and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I'm ready to, shake things up and I desperately want to go on vacation, I know that that's my moment to then step up and say, great, okay, I got this. Here's what I can handle for the next couple of days so that you can take that space. I think partnerships, friendships, communities, small teams, like they really are worth their weight in gold for exactly that reason.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And I think in addition to me and you, having a small team over the years has been absolutely instrumental. They've stepped up in so many ways. They just like level it out. They share the stress with us. So that way it's like never just one person. Awesome. Next question up.
Oh, we can tell you've been living in a few different worlds.
Heather, how did you and how do you allow yourself to believe in your own dream?
This is two-sided for me. I mean, there's the actual question, which is how do I allow myself to believe in my dream? And then that part feels more simple to me, because if it's my dream, if it's something that I really want to create, if I'm capable of dreaming it up in my mind, then who else is going to believe in it if I'm not, right? So there's almost like this calling out of my highest self and like this idea, nobody's coming to save you. I've got to be the one to do it. I've got to be the one to create it, to at least begin by believing it. And I really do believe that everything is created first in our minds, right? We create this idea, this dream, this vision in our mind. Then we can start talking about it and putting it into words. And then we can start creating it through our actions. So once I have this dream, the willingness to then choose to believe in it for me is a choice. And it's a choice that is relatively simple. I can focus on the dream and I can believe in that. The other side of it is believing in yourself. That part for me is a lot harder. Like I can believe when we dreamt up this idea of the Nurse Coach Collective, training thousands of nurses from all across the country. Like that's a dream of putting an end to chronic diseases of lifestyle, completely eradicating nurse burnout, right? These are big, huge, lofty dreams. I can totally get behind believing in that vision and that dream. But the flip side of that, as putting myself in the driver's seat and Where it really gets tough for me is believing in myself as the person who can create that dream and make it become possible. Does that make sense what I'm saying of distinguishing those two pieces? So I think for me, that's the more important question, which is how do I believe in myself? And on a good day, again, I can believe in anything. And on a tough day, it's really tough. And so that comes back down to being surrounded by people who see you, who believe in you, having mentors, having coaches, right? We have this concept in nurse coaching that if your client doesn't believe in themselves, then your role as the nurse coach is to let them borrow your belief in them. So being surrounded by people who you can borrow belief and then feed off of that. And then honestly, it's just bit by bit. It's being willing to put in tiny, tiny action over time, because confidence does not poof come out of thin air. Neither does belief, neither does self-esteem, self-worth. It's all, in my opinion, created through tiny little actions, through the thoughts that you choose to empower, the actions that you choose to take. That's how we create it.
Awesome.
A bit of an esoteric answer, but that's what I'm working with right now.
I always come back to this feedback loop of first we start with a belief. As you said, we start with an idea inside of our mind of what it is that we want to create. And then there is also all those other pieces around self-doubt, right? There's the doubt, the fear, the am I good enough, the inner critic, and those are coexisting simultaneously inside of our brain in duality. But then there's the next piece of the feedback loop, which is then we take action, and then based on that action, we have feedback that reinforces that idea. So there's like this old idiom of fake it until you make it. I think fake it until you make anything. Just make anything. Remember, you and I didn't start with 5,000 nurse coaches trained. We started with 5. We started so small, but those 5 people led us to believe like, okay, where there's one, there's many. Same with our private practice, right? We had to work really, really hard to get our first sale. But once we found that first sale, it's like, awesome. Okay, how do we do that just again and again and again and again and again? So fake it until you make anything, and then realize like that belief gets reinforced through your actions and the real world results based on those actions. So like you cannot develop confidence by just believing that you're going to be confident. Confidence is created through the actions that you take, and then the feedback that you receive as a result of hopefully positive actions, but also sometimes when the results end up not being exactly what you want them to be, that's okay too. It's still learning, and it will still support you because it shows you that you are capable of taking the action.
What's a belief that you held early in your nursing career that you have now completely let go of?
A belief that I held early in my nursing career is that medical professionals are the total and complete experts. I have done a complete 360 on this, where now it is not of course, we always need expert diagnosticians. We need people to understand the technology of medicine and how to leverage all of that to support people who are acutely ill in the moment. But every single one of us is the absolute expert on our own life, our own health, and our own well-being, because it's a deeply personal experience. And so any time that like a patient or client is coming looking to me for an answer, or if a nurse coach is coming looking to me for an answer, I always start with inquiry as the intervention, because the purpose of that is to support people to harness their own inner knowing, their own inner wisdom, because 99.99% of the time, it is not a knowledge deficit. It is a self-belief. It is a slowing down enough to listen to the thing that we really, really want, and then being supported to figure out exactly what actions we need to take in order to achieve that. So it's letting go of my need as a nurse to be the expert, to have all the answers, and instead to flip it into how can I help this person truly understand, take full ownership of their health and their well-being, and truly be the expert of their life.
I was going to say the exact same thing. As I remember a past version of me that would walk into any doctor's appointment with any medical professional, and they would tell me what to do, and I would say, yes, that if you say so, that sounds like what I should do, because surely you know better than me. And now, how many appointments have you and I been to for ourselves, for our kid, where something has come up and we've asked some questions, or we've said, hey, based on my research, here's what I've learned. And we've actually had the doctors tell us, well, it sounds like you know a little bit more about this than I do. It sounds like you've done a little bit more research on this than I have. And that's really been a total, just complete mind shift that nurse coaching has, luckily, I'd say, welcomed into my life.
Final question of our part 2 of the Ask Me Anything series. Now that the Nurse Coach Collective has been so successful, what is your next big, audacious dream?
The Nurse Coach Collective has its own next big, audacious dream. It's something we've been talking about on all of our previous episodes, which is now that we have really grown into a massive movement and we have this proof of how deeply it works and how many nurses are out there who want this and how the healthcare world as a whole is just desperate for it. Now we're really on this mission to reach 10,000 nurse coaches trained so we can hopefully gain enough momentum to reach that tipping point and change everything inside of nursing and inside of healthcare, and have there not be a single person out there who doesn't know what nurse coaching is or that it is a service that's available for them. The Nurse Coach Collective has been very successful, yes, but we continue to have very big and audacious dreams. So that's the Nurse Coach Collective side of things. Personally, my biggest dream in this moment is to create a life that doesn't pull me away from my family, my happiest, healthiest, highest self, and instead ties me more deeply to that. In a lot of ways, the Nurse Coach Collective has given me that gift so deeply. More health, more freedom, more income, more time with my family. Like, no doubt about that when I compare it to my old life. It's also been an insane amount of effort and work and investment and blood, sweat, and tears that has also drained me in many ways. So for me, the next chapter of big dreaming is figuring out, and work will always be draining. I know that. There's always, you got to be willing to be drained in order to get that reward at the end. But it's really about finding a renewed sense of joy, fulfillment, fun, dare I say balance, even though I know that balance is always in ever flux. It's really about having more time and energy to focus on little old me and figuring out how to be the not just best nurse coach I can be, and not just best nurse coach leader I can be, but really the best human and self and wife and mother and daughter in all of my forms.
Awesome. Yeah, and this is definitely something, Heather, that most of the nurses in our world don't see, which is the pendulum swings. You know, we don't have it all figured out. Sometimes we go way too hard. But the beautiful thing is we are about to go off on a 2.5-month trip and hopefully reset that pendulum, bring it a little bit more back to center, some nice beaches and some beautiful mountains, while also working far less, so that we can coast for a moment and bring that pendulum back to focusing on you, right? Enjoying more time for exercise, more time for slowing down, more time for being with family. Because those two worlds, yeah, sometimes it gets crazy on one side, right? Everything's not always perfectly imbalanced. And we have to find those levels of imbalance to realize, like, okay, I want something to be different now.
Exactly. I mean, I think really my goal is to become my greatest client success story and have it be me, because as a bedside nurse, we always say nurses are notorious for helping others and we often fall short of helping ourselves. And nurse coaching pulled me out of that in such a big way. And yet, when you get really, really head in the work, I begin to see it and feel it resurface in many ways. And some of those lifestyle habits that are most important to me, they can have a tendency to fall to the wayside. So these next couple of years, I'm grow some bigger biceps, gain some more mental strength, I'm gonna have some more time and energy for my family, and I'm gonna have a whole lot more fun.
Y'all, thanks for your questions. Thanks for hanging out with us here today on the Nurse Coach Collective podcast. Nurses, nurse coaches, we'll see you in the next episode.